Hello, everybody. This is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today, we're going to talk about Peter's first letter. Now, before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filii et Spiritui Sancto, succutura in principio et nunc et semper et seculi seculorum. Amen. All right, so we got to the first letter of Peter. A lot of people don't even know that Peter wrote a letter. He wrote 2 letters. They're kind of tucked away at the back. This is the section of the New Testament we call the Catholic epistles because they were universal. They were not specific to a specific church, but kind of expected to be circulated. So along with John's epistles, yes, John wrote epistles too. They're kind of tucked away in the back and they're very short. So this episode, we're going to cover the first letter of Peter. Now, who wrote it? Traditionally, it's been attributed to Peter. Now, there's some people that say that the writing in it, the Greek that was written is too sophisticated for it to be of a fisherman. But I think the general consensus and the church fathers think this, and it's never been disputed enough to otherwise, that Peter wrote it, but it was dictated. You look at the very end, chapter 5, by Silvanus, who is Silas, who you might remember from Acts of the Apostles, is one of the disciples. The other cool thing about chapter 5 is he mentions Mark. Mark is with them, and we know if you go to the treatment we did on the Gospel of Mark, we call them the thumbnail Peter's Gospel because Mark essentially wrote it from the eyewitness of Peter. So we'll say Peter wrote it. When was it written? Probably before his death, when he was in Rome. He's addressing at the beginning that he's in Babylon. Now, he's not in Mesopotamia, Babylon, but Babylon as the center of paganism in Rome. And we know later, of course, he's crucified upside down and he's buried on Vatican Hill. Hence, that's why St. Peter's Basilica is there. Now, what's the purpose of this letter? It's a circular letter. It's meant to be distributed probably to the different growing communities in Asia Minor. And it's kind of like the Thessalonians epistles by Paul in that it kind of has this warning of persecutions and a warning of, yes, there's paganism you have to worry about, and there's going to be probably some persecution. And Peter's letter is very pastoral, it's very warm, and it's just telling them like what you need to look forward to and like focus on the important things. So the important things are going to be like, there's a lot of like tone of redemptive suffering here. Like suffering isn't bad. Suffering brings you closer to Christ, and that's a good thing. Think long term. Don't forsake your faith. Think about the eternal glory that you're going to get when you die. So it's a lot of that kind of running through the 5 chapters. You also see his like on ethical considerations. All Christians need to model Christ and not revile or slander like Christ didn't do. Christ was above that. So he exhorts us to be model citizens and be very good citizens. And then at the end, he talks about apologetics, which is my second favorite apologetic verse. James is my first favorite apologetic verse. So let's get to some specifics that I like. So I like chapter 1, verse 17, because it has to do with works. We talked about this in the Salvation by Faith Alone episode part 2. But if you look at verse 17, it says, "And if you invoke as Father him who judges each one impartially according to his deeds," and then ... Then chapter 2, verse 17, some of you might not know this, but we have a little motto on the banner above 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics. That's where I got: honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, and honor the emperor. Then he has a good little run on marriage. I always like marriage quotes when they're in the epistles. "Likewise, you wives, be submissive to your husbands, so though some they do not obey the word, may be won without a word by the behavior of their wives, when they see your reverent and chaste behavior. Let not yours be the outward adorning with braiding of hair, decoration of gold, and wearing of robes, but let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable jewel of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious." And he keeps going like that. I mean, this is what all men want. All men want virtuous women and women that bring them closer to God. And then we'll get to chapter 5, verse 1 is a general exhortation that Peter gives to all elders, all priests, and really you could say to anybody that's kind of responsible for the formation of other Christians. And I like to read a little part of this. Tend the flock of God that is your charge, not by constraint, but willingly, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not as domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd is manifested, you will obtain the unfading crown of glory. Likewise, you that are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Then he keeps going. Cast all your anxieties on him, for he cares about you. Be sober, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same experience of suffering was required of your brotherhood throughout the world. And he keeps going there. And the last thing is, I mentioned the apologetics one. So this is great. It's chapter 3, verse 15. And again, James has got a great one too, but this one is, always be prepared to make a defense to anyone who calls you to account for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and reverence, and keep your conscience clear, and so forth. And then we talked about that on the episode, what's the most effective traits you can use to bring back lapsed Catholics or fallen away Catholics or Protestants is humility, charity, kindness. Don't just shove your beliefs down their throat. That's proselytism, and that's frowned upon by the church. Listen to what they're saying, defend the faith, but don't be a jerk, because again, you can win the battle. Oh, I won this, I won this time around, a little feather in your hat, but you're not going to win the soul. Guys, so that's 1 Peter. It's a great short little epistle. It is in my top 5. It is number 4, so we only have one of my top 5 remaining. Let's see if you can guess what it is. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know what you think about 1 Peter, anything I missed that you really like about the epistle. As always, please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with like-minded people. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.